good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to our podcast, Spiritual Vacancy, where we are here to fill your spiritual void. I'm Mona Lee. I'm an energy healer for mind, body, and spirit, owner of Beautiful Mind in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And today we have my dear partner.
I'm Brooke Ann. I'm a psychic medium and a Reiki practitioner. And today we are talking about manifestation, manifesting your wants, your goals, your desires, and how it affects you every day,
Mm, yeah,
right?
it certainly does. It certainly does. So, what is the biggest thing that comes to mind when you think about manifestation, Brooke? What happens in your world of manifestation?
Your thoughts. Your thoughts are so powerful.
Mm.
So, manifestation is all about your own desire and how strong it is to achieve what you want, and keeping your thoughts positive, even in a negative situation, or trying to see the higher reason of why something is happening. And that might be really hard in certain situations to understand why things happen the way they do for the end result to come about of what you really need. And you might not even realize you need that at the moment, but until it actually happens, then you can kind of see how and why things played out the way they did. But it's always important for you to keep your thoughts positive and keep them in a way of like your eye on the prize,
Mm.
of what it is that you want. It might not happen right away,
Yeah.
but I promise if you keep at it and you keep envisioning that it's yours, it will be.
Yeah. You know what? I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that, it really does start with thought, because if we don't like something of what's happening in our lives, of what has manifested, then we do have to go right back to that thought. And I remember listening to something from Joe Dispenza years ago, and he is such a wonderful thing on thought and manifestation as well. And he was talking about that, whatever we think becomes what we say. And what we say is what we're putting out in the universe. And what we say becomes our actions. And then when we're acting on something and we do the same actions over and over, what does that become? It becomes a habit. And then with our habits become exactly what we end up doing. And then it becomes the outcome of what we have created. So if we don't like what's going on in our lives, we have got to get back to the basics, get back to the thought, because the thought also creates those emotions. Those emotions create the physiological responses inside of our human body. For example, the emotions, right? If we don't feel good enough, or we don't feel good enough to manifest this or good enough to manifest that. I think that when working with people, I find that that's probably one of the biggest things I work with, is that lack of confidence, right?
Mhm.
And working on the internal vortex of the solar plexus is everything in that human element. And then that's what settles in from our emotions, can settle into the middle of our bellies going, oh, I don't feel right, or I'm not sure, or the uncertainties that hit,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And that makes it very difficult to manifest what you want. So it's pretty amazing how thoughts are definitely connected to the outcomes of what we manifest or not.
Yeah. No, definitely. There was a audiobook on Spotify that's free right now. You can buy the book if you want, but I did the free version on tape. And it was
Hey,
by Rhonda Byrne, and it's called The Secret. I think there's a movie also. I don't know if it's based on her book or what it is, but she wrote this book about manifesting, and it is about when you worship the worry. That's what all you can focus on is the worry. You can't see the good.
mm,
You're literally manifesting more worry into your life when you worship the worry. And
yeah,
your outcome is going to be exactly how it's supposed to be. Whether you're worrying about it or not, you're
yeah,
the one losing the joy and the happiness in that moment because you're so focused on what might not happen or what
mm,
might happen that is bad, instead
yeah,
of focusing on just letting the universe play out how it's supposed to and then dealing with it when it happens in the moment, instead of trying to project or almost predict what the outcome is going to be. And it's usually in a negative format that never happens.
Yes. Isn't that something? It's almost like with the worry, it's they say those are the biggest wasted emotions are fear and
Mhm.
worry,
Yep.
right? Or worry and guilt. And that worry, we are just feeding that monster. It's like a monster because it's not real. And
Hmm.
then if we were to, I had a life coach years ago that shared with me about worry, that I used to worry about, oh, what if this and what if that? And because of life changes, what ifs, what ifs, what ifs got on the way of moving forward and manifesting exactly what was really truly wanted. And if we write down, take a little notebook, and this might be good for our listeners to do, is take down in a notebook what you actually worry about, write it down, put
Hmm.
it away in your cabinet for a week, bring it back out after a week, and look at that list of worry. Was there anything to worry about?
Right. And how did it play
Oh,
out?
yeah,
Right? And what
yeah,
was the outcome if you were worried about it? Probably nothing. Probably
right,
nothing bad happened like you want or wasn't fixable in
right,
that moment. Because it's kind of
exactly.
like I was at yoga. Oops. I was at yoga like a couple weeks ago, right? And
Mm.
in the middle of class, I thought about how I didn't respond to somebody, like to an email, or like you have that oh shit moment, but there's nothing I could do about it. I can't leave the class. I can't go respond right then. So I had to let it go. I
Yeah,
would just have to pick it back up when I leave the class, but
yes,
that can take me out of the class, out of
yes.
the moment. Now I'm not focusing on all the good that the yoga is doing to my body. Now my mind is focusing on that message that I can't control at that moment anyways.
Isn't that something? Isn't that something? And the real and when we as humans can ruminate over like that email that you didn't check or answer back, and
Right.
if you would have sat there in that yoga class ruminating over and over and over and not even being present in your very moment of moving your body with your breath, which is what yoga is, union of
Mm-hmm.
mind and body, right?
Hmm.
And what were you doing? You were wasting your time
And my
even being
money.
there in that yoga class and your money. Yes,
Like giving
exactly.
her
Exactly.
$15 and not even enjoying it. Like, what the hell?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then your energy wouldn't be flowing exactly where you needed it to flow, which was to your, downward facing dog or your forward fold or your breath and your lungs.
Yeah.
Those are things that it's so important to really have ourselves be like, okay, manifestation, right? What do you want to manifest in that very moment? You wanted to manifest better movement and connection to yourself, to your inward body, to your physical body. So
Yeah.
it's wherever
And
we put our attention, right? Where the attention goes is where the energy flows.
yep. And that's with anything in life, even your goals or things that you're working on.
Mhm.
I know not everybody, but a lot of people will get frustrated or give up or be like, this isn't working, so I'm done. Well, if you're saying it's not working, it's not going to work. And if
Yes.
you quit too soon, it's really not going to work because then you've quit and you're not keep moving forward. I can't tell you how many times I have been told no by people, but I still keep putting myself out there. I will
Mm.
still ask the questions. You'll never know unless you ask.
Yes,
You
exactly.
you know, so ask the questions. If you want something, ask. If it's a
Yeah.
no, just keep going.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just a speed bump in the road. But like
Mhm.
with me, everything I have in my life, I have manifested, whether it's
Mm.
my career, my work, my house, everything
Mm.
like that. And I think a lot of people have actually done that. They just don't realize it.
Yes, yes. I think that's it that you hit that on the head too. Is just as far as like really where your thoughts are. You are manifesting your own life. You
Mm,
were without thinking first about what you wanted, and like for example, the house. You
mhm.
wouldn't have gotten that house had
Right.
you not thought about it and put it out there and put it in the energy field and really, put your efforts and energies into it to
Hmm.
get what you needed. So
Yep.
yeah.
Because even
Every
I used to drive by my house because I lived right around the corner. I've lived in this area for I've been in Myrtle Beach for 25 years now, but in this north end, I've been up here at least 8 years, if not longer. And we would always drive by the house I live in now and be like, what's in the back? what's back there with like that basketball court and things like that, not knowing I would actually live in this house. And this was the house that we would
Mm.
always look at to try to figure out what was behind it. But
Mm.
then when it came up on the market, I'm like, there's no way. We just sold our house. We were renting and it came up and I showed Jeremy and I was like, oh my God, we have to look. I've looked at this house, but I never pictured me living in it, but I thought about it, right? You
Yes,
just didn't know it
yes,
would actually
yes.
come to fruition, that it would actually be mine. And it even felt surreal going through the buying process, doing all the emotional part of it, and just trusting like, if it's not going to work out, I'm not supposed to be in this house. Even if I
Mm.
was emotionally invested, because there was a time where we got an email while we were buying the house and it said we were not approved, right? But it
Mm.
wasn't actually
Mm.
the email for us. But we were sitting there, we're like, you know what? I'm not supposed to have this house. Like, we're not
Ah,
supposed to get it then. Something else is waiting. And then our mortgage lady calls back. She's like, oh, you got the wrong email. We're like, really? You put me through that
wow.
for like a couple hours? And we were like, me and Jeremy were just like, it's fine because you have to accept what is supposed to be yours will be. Can't
Yes.
force it. And sometimes the things that we want to manifest are not really what we need or want. We just
Yes.
think they are. So it's always like, be careful what you wish for.
Yes,
You know?
yes, yes, yes. Absolutely. Be careful what you wish for. Even if in manifestation, things, funky things can happen. If we put those negative thoughts out there, like,
Mhm.
I am not going to be able to get this, then you are totally, totally right, because that goes into the energy field. And if you speak it out into the universe, and this is part of laws of attraction,
Mhm.
right? That you have 19 seconds to flip that around. If
Mhm.
you say, I don't want this and this, you're flip it around, flip it around, flip it around within 19 seconds. See
Yeah.
what starts to happen.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
sometimes we learn those lessons about what we think we want and then we get it and we really don't. And we're
Be
like, okay,
careful
what
what you wish for.
yeah, what lesson is that? Be like, and I
Yes.
thought I did all the work.
Yes, yes. See, that's why in our spiritual intelligence, and we talked about that in our last episode, it's important to really tap in. What do you want?
Yeah,
What do you want? What do you want? What do you want
right.
to manifest for yourself? And be so stinking real, connecting. That
Yes.
was one thing, and I've said it to so many people so many times, but it really stuck with me that my grandfather, the monk, would say, what is the hardest path to follow and what you want? What is the hardest path to follow? Do we know what that is?
Your own.
It is. It is your
Your
own.
own.
And the
Yeah.
connection that is only 1 foot long is the one from your head to your heart.
Yeah.
Think about that. If you measured from your third eye to your heart space, that's only 1 foot long. And if it's connected to what you feel and what you think to how you feel, you're
Right.
authentically connected and you can get what you want that way.
Right. Yes. And you know what's funny? This is so off topic, but when you said 1 foot long, I kept hearing $5 foot long from Subway when you
Are you hungry?
why do we when you were like it's 1 foot long and I'm like Subway what's one
Well, the next time you see
foot
a
long?
subway, think about that. And
Anybody that drives by Subway listening to this podcast is going to be like, okay, it is a good way to remember.
there you go. There is the perfect mnemonic device. Every time any one of our listeners drives past a subway, think about your 1 foot path. Thank you. That was a great one.
From your head
From
to
your
your
head to
heart.
your heart. Yes, yes. That's coherency, right?
Yes.
Coherency. If we are not connected to our head and our heart, that's incoherency,
Yeah.
where we're not connecting to ourselves. And you can't manifest when there's incoherency happening because it's
Right.
not it's not like authentically connected. So
Correct.
really just being authentically connected to what you truly think and what you feel and what you feel and what you think.
Yeah, and I think a lot of
Manifesting.
people with manifesting and the worry, and a lot of it is keeping up with the Joneses,
Mm.
looking at social media, but it's truly fake. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
everybody's lives are fake online. They
Yeah.
only show the good parts. They don't show the arguments, they don't show their financial struggles, they don't show where maybe they missed payments on certain things or maybe they're having a bad day too. They only show the positive or the best things that they buy or things like that. And you have to remember those people have issues too, but people
Mhm.
aren't going to show their problems.
Yeah.
They're only going to show the best side of themselves to look the best. And I can
Mm.
tell you, there are so many people that I know, and this is one of the reasons like I don't like social media
Mm.
because people are so fake with what they post and like lie about. And it was even where my one of my sister's friends, she's not friends with her anymore, but she's married and she's posting about God and how she goes to church and she's over there having like all these affairs. But it's
Mm.
like, but you're trying to show you're like this Christian person online and you love your husband and your kids, but yet you're fucking everybody. Like
Oh,
this is where it gets into,
bad word, bad word. Beep, beep,
we're an
beep, beep,
adult
beep.
podcast. It's okay. But this is where it gets into like people have to get out of that mindset that people are who you think they are in
Mm.
a 2-second post
Mm.
because that's not real life or a
Yeah,
60-second video. That's
right.
you don't see all of the trials and tribulations of that person. You can
Mm.
never form a real opinion of somebody by something they post.
Yeah.
You
You
have
know,
to meet them in
that's
person.
also, and that's, yeah, that's also the scope of influence, right? We got to be
Mhm.
careful of where we put our minds and where we put our thoughts. We really have to be careful of that because when we're lost, we get that big scope of influence and looking at this and that and this and that and other people. And as we get closer to ourselves and our own, narrow path and the way within, then it's just like all of that scope of influence just kind of filters away, kind of goes away. It just goes away when you get closer and closer to yourself. So,
No, you're right. Because when you
yeah.
start tuning in spiritually and
Hmm.
inside
Hmm.
of yourself,
Yep.
that stuff doesn't matter anymore.
It
It
doesn't.
doesn't
It really
matter.
doesn't matter what is real, what is not. It really
No.
doesn't matter. It really is just like in quantum physics. I've studied quantum physics and just looking at the manifestations that we're speaking of what we want um to see, right?
Mhm.
Is where we're going to manifest our reality based on what our perceptions are. So we need to really be careful with what we're perceiving out there too. And just the
Yeah.
only thing that we have control over is ourselves, our inward selves, our inside selves. So I just want to encourage our listeners, get closer and closer to yourself, get closer and closer to your own sphere of influence, to your own connection,
Mhm.
because it's like Eckhart Tolle says a beautiful saying that when we get the insides right, then the outside falls into place.
Mhm. It does.
Mhm.
It does. And then you start focusing on things that you really need or want at that moment. Nothing else
Yes,
matters. It's what's
yes,
good for
yes.
your soul. And
Mhm.
change your mindset. Quit thinking negative. If you
Mhm.
have a negative thought, turn it immediately into a positive thought.
Yes,
Don't
19
let it
seconds.
ruminate.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Shift it. Have that holy shift inside. It's
Yeah.
like shifting the radio dial, like the old-fashioned radios, where you just turn the channel, turn the station. If you don't like it, shift it. If it's
Right.
not what you want as an outcome, shift it. If you're
Yep.
not resonating with it from the inside, shift it.
Mm-hmm.
Move it, shift it. If you're
Yep.
not happy with where your moments are, shift it. Yeah,
Mhm. Shift it into what aligns with you.
exactly.
Yeah. And make
Yeah.
sure you let go of any thoughts that you're worried about.
Mm,
Because it does no good to help you manifest your desires.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's
It is what it is. It's going to
that's
be in
it.
universal time, not our time, divine timing.
Hmm.
We can want
Hmm.
it, but it's going to happen exactly when it's supposed to.
Exactly, exactly. Also, the believing in divine timing and divine connections and divine inheritances. And it really is, it starts to happen beautifully, like magic. It just, things start to unfold in people's lives as they trust, also is a big word and a
Hmm.
big thing. Trust that things will happen. Just trust and know. And
Yeah.
it's all good. It's
And that's
all
hard.
good.
Trust is
Mhm.
hard. Trust is hard even with yourself.
Ah, but
You
now we
second
got to be
guess.
careful. Here's the thing, trust is hard. Listen,
It
Rosa,
is.
trust is hard. But what if we shift it now, right? Trust can
Right.
be, I'm working on trust. If
Right.
we
It can be
say
hard.
trust is hard, it
Mhm.
can
It
be
is.
hard. But let's
Trust.
shift it. Trust can be.
Oh,
easier,
definitely. I'm talking
easier.
about like the people listening because trust is hard, even with
Yeah.
ourselves, to trust ourselves to be the best version of ourselves, or to trust
Mm.
other people around us to
Yeah.
let them in
Yeah.
because of hurt and past traumas from our past. And trust is, that's one of the biggest things I find with people I met is
Mm.
trust. And it
Mm-hmm.
goes both ways. It's a
Yes, it
two-way
does.
street with yourself and with them. But as you learn, you do have to learn to trust yourself and you do have to learn to trust other people until they show you a difference,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
until they show you how not to trust them. And then you have to trust that who they're showing you is real.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we'll even second guess that and give them another chance and be like, oh, that was just a moment. No, if they're really showing you who they are, that's how they are.
Well,
You
then
gotta
again,
remember
what
that.
happens with that thought of we are not these thoughts and we are not these bodies, right? And then
Right.
the thought goes into the emotion, and the emotion goes into an action or a reaction.
Mm-hmm.
So that trust is really deep, deeply, deeply rooted. And speaking of insides, that's our sacral chakra too.
Mm-hmm.
Trusting it all starts from within. Everything starts from within. So that trust runs deep.
It does.
Um,
It does run
and
deep. I
yes, and
feel
some of the
like
biggest things that people do have to heal from too, right? Is abandonment, betrayal,
lies,
yeah,
liars.
lies. And
Mhm.
those are big things to have to overcome and learn
Mhm.
from. But then again, those are those life lessons that come in that show us the
Right.
deepest lessons.
It
Yeah.
does. And it also shows you don't have to be friends with everybody. You don't have to like
Yes.
hate them or, wish them any wrong. But not
Mhm.
everybody's for you, and that's okay. And if your friends
Yes.
are okay with them, that's okay too, because it's not your life and it doesn't affect you. But you
That's
have
right.
to trust what you're feeling as well. So if
Yes.
you're feeling bad vibes around somebody or you know that they've lied to you in certain ways, it's okay for you to trust your instincts and step back and not have them in your space.
Mm.
That is okay to trust that. And if other people don't see it, it's not really our job to talk bad about anybody else or have say things about our experiences because people will find out on their own. You don't
Yes.
have to say anything about how you feel about somebody. I
Mm.
promise you, it will come out. Everything comes out in the wash, and you don't have to say
Hmm.
anything. They'll learn it on their own.
That's right. That's
Hmm.
right. So,
Yeah.
yes.
But trust your
Mm.
feelings too. But yeah, sometimes it's
Yes.
the hardest to trust ourselves as well, that we're
Mhm.
doing the right thing or we need that extra, you almost like need that guidance from somebody else to say, like, you are on the right path or you are doing the
Mhm.
right thing. And it's nice to get that validation of how you feel because we are our own worst critics and we are judge ourselves the most. So yeah, trust, I feel like
Right.
it's one of the hardest things.
It is. And I think the more we hone in, right, and
Yes.
meditate, 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 meditate. I can't say it enough.
Yeah.
Tap into your inner self because all of those answers are within to where you'll know what you want to manifest and what you don't want to manifest in your life.
Right. Yep.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We're kind of like I kind of love it because we're just kind of talking about everything today. It's kind of
Yeah,
like boop, 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 boop.
it is.
All
It
over the place,
is.
but it's all about your thoughts. And it's
It
all
is.
about how you perceive your reality and what you can do and what you can achieve. And again, that on Spotify, free right now. She might charge later, I don't know, but it's called The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. Check it out. 4 hours of listening while you're commuting to work or however, while you're cleaning the house. Make sure you listen to it. And what was the one you suggested, Mona?
Oh, yes, I watched on Netflix and it's for free, or you can go on YouTube and find Inner Outer Worlds.
Okay.
Fascinating,
I need to watch
fascinating,
it. I haven't watched it
fascinating.
yet.
It starts from the inside and it is just absolutely amazing when it comes to manifestation. So, really take a peek at Inner Outer Worlds on Netflix or on YouTube.
I
Yeah.
will. I will. I'm going to check it out too. You guys check them out. Let us know in the comments what you think. And will you change your mindset? So it is all in your hands. Thank y'all for
Mhm.
listening in this week. And we hope you all have a beautiful day. We will see you next week. And namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste.